One of the fixes in the 1.3 update was to Iron Fists and Man-Eaters. They had a hard time making contact with infantry models for whatever reason before. Now their animations have supposedly been fixed. I was always a fan of Iron Guts against Kislev because they played very well into stuff like Winged Lancers, so I'm going to take a couple here. I've also got a Slaughtermaster of the Great Maw, Iron Blaster up front. Along with the two Iron Guts, we've got three bowls with Iron Fists, another bowl, and for Gnoblars. Of course, in reserve, we've got the Regiment of Renowned Sky Striders, Crushers with great weapons. These guys are rocking in at a whopping 2,100 points. They come with extra weapon strength and frostbite, as well as missile resistance. And Crushers already have very impressive weapon strength. Now, these guys are up to 144 with bonus versus large. And of course, that frostbite means if they do catch another heavy cavalry unit, definitely won't be able to get away. 75 speed, also in the higher class for heavy cavalry, certainly, with 80 charge. Should be very good. We've also got a Stonehorn. Stonehorns did receive a missile resistance nerf, minus 15% down from 35 to 20. Definitely well needed and should make them a lot less oppressive. A couple of Lead Belchers in reserve, 3 Saber Tusks, 3 Trappers, and another Gnoblar. For my opponent, I Switch of Tempest, of course. We've also got the Oath Brothers of Tor, the new Regiment of Renowned Warbear Riders. They've got magic attacks and this bombardment as well, which helps them not only trade better in melee, as it does apply the blinded debuff, but will also help them from getting outswarmed, which is definitely an issue for Warbear Riders in general. He's also got 2 Little Groms, definitely beneficiaries of the range change. Also a Streltsy, single Streltsys to start, and 5 Kossars with Spears. No surprises there. 3 more Streltsy in reserve with the Patriarch. Also got a single Winged Lancer. 3 Snow Leopards, of course. If you're not taking 3 Snow Leopards as Kislev, you're probably going to lose Domination. Horse Archers, and 4 Kossovite Dervishes as well. So let's jump in and take a look. Like I said, the Iron Guts here with the fixed animations, we'll see how they end up doing. The lack of missile block chance versus the armor, a little bit tricky. My opponent is obviously a big fan of the Streltsy. This is the same person that I played back in the video before I showed with Cathay versus Kislev. So we all know, because of the range change, Streltsy they were already a pretty good unit, but they are now very, very scary, especially when taken in a high volume. So let's see. The double Little Grom also scares me quite a bit. I mean, I only brought the 1 Iron Blaster, so they can definitely outtrade it. But let's see initially where the damage goes. Of course, I can't see those Warbear Riders, as they are currently in reserve, but Iron Blaster comes through, already gets a few hits, takes out a few Streltsy, a few Kossars, nothing too crazy yet, but both the Little Groms immediately start to focus on it. I'm going to pull it back a little bit to try and get out of range, since the Little Groms do have 450 range, which is more than my 380, but if I come kind of to the extreme end of their range, I might still be able to get some hits on these infantry and whatnot, and at the very least prevent Little Grom from shooting like my Lord or other targets like these Iron Fists, whatnot. So yeah, we're just going to continue firing there. Cannonballs from Little Grom, in fact, do switch onto my main frontline units. We're going to get this big frontal engagement going fairly soon. I'm a little bit concerned. There's another second Streltsy unit out here, and of course this ambush of the Oath Brothers. I can't see them yet, but they're going to come out and start to cause big, big problems for that 1 Iron Gut over on the far side. Got a couple of Saber Tusk packs out to try and sweep up and around this flank to get back, and at the very least disrupt these Little Groms, even if they're not necessarily going to kill them, but of course Little Groms can continue firing in melee, so in fact, it is a pretty hopeless cause, to be honest. But anyway, Iron Guts are about to get in here. Got the big Ogre line charge all across the field. And these Iron Guts, nope, just kidding. They're going to try and get up and around the flank. And again, use their armor-piercing damage to come back. These guys, though, the ROR Warbear Riders get in. I'm going to pop a Bull Gorger just to help these guys not get completely slaughtered. And they actually do punch back okay against the Oath Brothers, but obviously it's going to be a pretty hopeless situation. Reinforce with 1 more unit of Bulls just to try and keep these guys tied up so they can't come fully collapse my line. But look at the Streltsy fire coming in here, absolutely massacring the Iron Fists, not caring at all. Again, help that missile block chance and just firing directly through the backs of their own units. Again, very, very strong here. Little Groms also able to fire in through their own units, potentially even into this engagement here where the Oath Brothers are. Certainly this unit of Streltsy is going to fire in here. And a new bombardment? Yeah, I guess that must be the one from the Oath Brothers there. You can see the blinded effect takes effect down to 10 melee defense and 12 for the Iron Fists and the Iron Guts, both of which are going to suffer pretty badly. They have the Iron Guts actually routing off. So although I am forward pressing my opponent very aggressively here, value trade, we're probably about even, honestly, all things considered. Eventually the Saber Tusks do get down and shut down those little Groms, and this is what I was saying before when I said, you know, you can interrupt them momentarily and get them to drop their attack animation. That is, or their attack order, rather. That is one way you can potentially at least distract them, but my opponent is going to reissue his shooting orders very shortly, and you'll notice that they get back online and continue firing. And that big frontal push, although we massacred a lot of the Kossars and other units, getting back into the Streltsy has been a little bit tougher. We're finally in contact with a couple of them here. Iron Blaster, you can see, is still alive and fully operational because the little Groms have been focusing on other targets, but they are now switched back onto me there. You can see 2 little Grom shots basically just almost finished the Iron Blaster there. So definitely a very rough situation for me. Dervishes coming through, trying to get at those trappers there. Likewise, the Oath Brothers, despite the sundered armor and whatnot from the Iron Blaster, they are still just fine, just doing just fine. The Noblar Trapper is going to hang around here and just try and hold down this objective. Anyone tries to come sneak over. I do have a full triple cap, and I'm not worried about this, of course, because I'm not going to be feeding my opponent any additional supply. But I just want to try and get as far ahead on value as I can, because Kislev in many ways relies on their infantry to capture, although, of course, my opponent, as you did see there in the intro, does have the kitties, right? The snow leopards will be able to come in and very quickly get to and capture objectives in very short order. So let's see. Right now, my Slaughtermaster is trying to bait the Oath Brothers into the Noblar Trappers just because I felt that they would not trade very efficiently with kind of a wide, cheap unit like that, especially if they were shooting them. Anyway, speaking of shooting, these Noblars moving through, more Noblars getting blasted by Streltsy. These Noblars over here getting in to throw their throwing daggers at these Streltsy, do a little bit of damage. It's just, you know, chip damage anywhere we can to continue to break up these Kislev units. Right here, though, like if I had a Saber Tusk pack that I could bring out real quick, I just spent a huge amount of gold, though, on these Sky Striders, so you can see my supply drop down. Even still, I probably should reinforce quickly to try and take out these couple of tattered Kossars in order to preserve that objective, because definitely not going to be able to hold this center objective. There's multiple Kossars, more Streltsy pushing up here. My backline push trying to finish off the little Groms. Unfortunately, we did manage to rout one fully. You can see the Iron Guts here finally getting mopped up. The other one did not get routed, though, and this one that did rout is very likely to come back and spend the rest of its ammunition. So you know, a little bit of a futile attempt there. I'm sad it didn't end up working out, but here we go. Almost missed the big engagement here. The very tattered Thor's bros, right? Oath Brothers of Tor get absolutely torn up by the new Regiment of Noun Crushers coming through. They got a Bull Gorger and just completely smashed in that engagement, and now this is sort of a test of, if you will, a live battle test. These guys with their 20% missile resistance, I wanted to see how they would do charging into this pocket right here, but my opponent literally gets everything to focus at the same time, and even a Stonehorn previously with its 35% missile resistance would probably get melted by triple Streltsy. So the pre-healing here of Troll Guts only is going to go so far. You can see a shot from Little Grom lands there and finishes another unit model. We do absolutely plow one unit of Streltsy, and we're going to try and get through onto the next one, but Frost Kittens are starting to come out now. We've got the Snow Leopards pursuing my Lord, which is not going to be great. He comes in, clubs one of those Tor brothers in the back of the head. We're also going to charge in now with the Saber Tusk packs, try and continue to occupy the Streltsy. Even though the Sky Striders took a lot of damage, they've still got Troll Guts active and are continuing to hold, at least for the time being, managing to finish another Streltsy unit there. So, you know, the push is okay, but again, I let my opponent capture this objective on the side over here basically for free, without contesting anything from this side over here, which is definitely a mistake by me. They did add a few new reinforcement points, one here and one here on both sides on this Battle of It's a map, and I'm not quite used to using them yet, so I mean, I could have reinforced this pocket sooner, certainly. I just had a little bit of a brain fart in that way. But anyway, in the center here, we've got a pitched engagement between the Slaughtermaster and the Ice Witch. Slaughtermaster is going to be getting shot in the back, though, by the Streltsy, as they can now fire unimpeded into this combat. Also going to hit a little bit of a Bull Gorger here to juice up his melee attack. I mean, normally, unsupported, he would obviously beat the Ice Switch, no question, but with the support of that Streltsy Fire, with the Buyer Blood passive, they're going to hang around. Gust of True Flight gives them even more range and accuracy as well, so they can really hit that single entity target. Another Snow Leopard charging in here also, but feeling pretty good. I mean, I am pretty far ahead in terms of victory tickets. My opponent is starting to come back in terms of army value, and he does have the one objective secure, definitely threatening to seize this center objective here. And my Iron Fist, I'm just continuously getting them. Again, this is a really bad decision to come within range and then try and run sideways. I definitely should be staying out of range with Streltsy and approaching like from this direction, I think. But again, same thing here. I'm mistakenly calling them in on the center when I really should be calling them in over on this side. I could advance up this way, but again, you're learning. I'm learning, I should say. Finally, the Saber Tusks pack finish off literally to a man the Oath Brothers of Tor there. We've also got the Snow Leopard kind of losing Noblar Trappers over time. Noblar Trappers still might give up just due to their leadership, but hopefully they'll be able to hold on to that objective. Really, at this point, I should probably just reinforce all into one objective, but still like calling units in randomly in the center here, which aren't really going to be doing anything for me. I really, again, just like get all the units off of this capture point, especially because my opponent seeing this, obviously knowing that he needs to go for a full 3 cap, is going to reinforce with another Snow Leopard here in order to start to get full capture there. My Lord also ends up losing this engagement pretty badly as another Snow Leopard comes in and all the supporting range fire and whatnot. All my support here in the center evaporates, and unfortunately the Slaughtermaster just can't get away from the Snow Leopard, so that's why I didn't even try to retreat him there and get him back to safety, because it seemed like it was pretty pointless, but we'll see. Lots of Streltsy still fighting. The Little Groms both, you can see, use their ammunition. One of them gets withdrawn there, but the other that routed earlier did come back and use the rest of their ammo, so very rough for me. Definitely. There's also this big contingent of Kislev cavalry coming back to the fight now as well. So let's see, can I hold this one side objective? Right now we're doing a good job. We managed to get some more Saber Tusk packs over here, finishing off those cost by dervishes, but a very nice bombardment here comes in, does a ton of damage to the Saber Tusk pack, probably going to lead them to getting routed off by the Snow Leopards. More Saber Tusks just can't provide the same capture weight as an infantry unit would be able to. So they might end up getting outvalued there. Here we come in with a few bulls, and finally, with the Little Groms being shut down, now would be a good time for me to bring out my Iron Blasters, but I'm not going to do so for whatever reason. Couldn't really tell you, honestly. I guess I was just more focused on getting units onto the objective to try and maintain capture more than anything. Like here, these units charge in more than anything just to disrupt the Streltsy and hold them kind of in place so I can try and continue to reinforce up here. But the Noblar's low leadership is definitely coming back to haunt me. Try and dodge that bombardment, cut up and around, and keep fighting here with the Trappers. More Saber Tusks, Lions charging in. It's crazy how they're like the same size as the Snow Leopards, even though they're, you know, like one's a single entity, one's a multi-model unit. But we do finish one Snow Leopard. We almost finished the second Snow Leopard, but is it going to be enough to maintain capture? No, unfortunately, with the Kossars with spears coming in as well, my Noblars and Saber Tusks, they do get not quite onto the objective in time. Kislev is able to capture it, so looking like Kislev is going to get a legit comeback here. There's no extra supply being fed from any kind of silly comeback mechanic, but comebacks are absolutely still possible. I mean, in terms of value, the important thing to note here, we don't get to see the army damage values. Still would really like for Creative Assembly to fix that at some point, but the main sort of takeaway here is, you know, as long as you're not too far behind on army damage value, you can still make a legitimate comeback. And all I have to do is momentarily recapture one objective, so I'm going to start doing what I should have done earlier, which is to go all in on this top objective, where I still have some forces remaining. Yeah, Kossar dervishes charging into bulls here. Oh no, those are winged lancers. Okay, so that's going to go very badly for the bulls. This is specifically why I had brought the Iron Guts. Of course, I don't have them on the field at the moment, and that's a very bad engagement for the bulls. They just get completely mopped there, and my extra reinforcing capture weight isn't going to do much. The Noblar's leadership is so low, and I'm also, my opponent's kind of holding them forward from the objective. I need to flank around and actually, you know, get a lane where I can move in and actually stand on the capture point, but My opponent's not going to allow me to do so. Slaughtermaster getting routed off there in the distance as more units just kind of continue to hold. My opponent going to reinforce all to this top objective, which is absolutely the right play. So, Wing Lancers see off my bulls. Have to say, I love them in this color scheme, too. That red and white color scheme. I'm just a sucker for it, I must admit. So, there's that. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty bad about my chances to actually come back and win. We'll fast forward. As Kislev makes their final stand, you can see I throw a couple of Iron Fists into the center. But the Streltsy immediately respawned, and I must admit, I didn't have a healthy respect for Streltsy before this update, but definitely with the range change, meaning that they'll more rarely get obstructed, but even before the range change, I think Streltsy were a fairly underrated unit, especially by me. But here, they're able to fully last Samurai and rout the Ogre Iron Fist before they even get into combat, so absolutely brutal stuff. Definitely looking forward to seeing more awesome gunline Streltsy play in the future. I mean, yeah, it sucks to lose, but at the same time, I actually felt okay about this loss. Like, it's a legitimate comeback for my opponent. He had some really excellent use of Streltsy and the Little Groms as well. I'm a little bit sad that we couldn't finish the one Little Grom, at least. You know, my sort of overload flank attempt, while it was valiant, it got a lot of damage value, didn't end up accomplishing its tactical goal, right? So a little bit rough in that way. In terms of the army breakdown here for value, almost wish I would have brought that little fist spell just to deal damage to Streltsy. But anyway, the Iron Blaster definitely ended up being a very significant mistake. No question. Hindsight's 20/20, but would have been better. And if Little Grom becomes very popular in this matchup, which it does seem that it probably should, given the current state of the game, both of these Little Groms get insane value. Yeah, maybe I would have just gone wider with more bulls. And like, same thing with the Iron Guts. Maybe I have one or two in reserve just to bring out as a counter if I do end up seeing Winged Lancers, but obviously, again, in hindsight, would have been good to have maybe more, maybe like one Iron Guts, maybe just some more units overall in its initial starting army. Likewise, my misuse of the Sky Striders was pretty extreme there, but hey, you know, you got to test these things in a real-world situation, even if you think they're going to horribly die. Good to find out that, yes, that is in fact correct. Had I used those guys better, definitely could have benefited me quite a bit, and just in general some macro mistakes too. Again, pretty typical of me. I haven't been playing that much of this game recently, so I'm a little bit out of practice, and my opponent here did a great job. Oath Brothers did manage to pay for themselves, just barely. Very impressive performance there. The Little Grom is also very nice. Kossars kind of get raffle stomped in a couple situations, but still managed to punch back relatively hard. But the Streltsy, man, the Streltsy are definitely the MVPs for me for this particular game. They were able to come in here and just mop a lot of my troops. When I did manage to get them in melee, oftentimes they're very tough to take out. I mean, they have good enough stats, and the armor piercing especially means that like the Iron Fist, for example, Iron Guts rather, getting in there, they're still going to take damage, especially if their stats are being lowered or the Streltsy's stats are being augmented in any way. Definitely can be very powerful. Frost Leopards, the Snow Leopards here, definitely no question need to nerf their capture weight. But regardless, still, they'd be very good in this matchup, even if they still only had cavalry or monster capture weight. So take that as it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.